They showed me videos of Nolan on the island.
5 minutes later.
Did they show you photos, videos, snaps of that day on Horn Island?
Personally, out at Horn Island, I rode out there on a boat, and I didn't have great reception there. And I left my phone in the boat when I got into the water, and we were actually going out to do interviews.
Objection. Objection. Of that day on Horn Island.
Some of the pictures that you've seen floating around online were pictures that they took on the boat.
And Tatum. Hold on.
They didn't take those pictures when they got out, out there to Horn Island.
You're going far afield from my question. Let me redirect you back to their phones. Nolan has nothing on his phone. They have pictures and videos on their phones.
But they didn't take those pictures when they got out, out there to Horn Island because they were having fun.
No.
Well, yeah, I think I couldn't imagine that they want to get underage drinking on camera. So what they had articulated to me that it wasn't abnormal for people not to snap and not to do a lot of pictures and things like that because they were focused on
but you
being
told me
off of the
they showed you pictures.
Did you read the
videos.
book?
I did not read the book.
There you go. Then you don't know what you're talking about. Let me tell you something, brother. I am a history teacher.
Let me finish what I'm saying.
I teach in the public school system. You are uneducated.
Let me finish what I'm saying. You cannot
you don't
teach
know
in the
what you're
public school
talking
system
about.
if you're telling me that Republicans did not unanimously vote for the 13th, 14th, 15th Amendment and the Civil Rights Act.
You are being given
you cannot tell me you're a teacher if you are not, and you do not understand.
You are
Wait,
lying
guys,
about
do not
the
talk over each other. We can't hear anything either you are saying.
He's not allowing me to make a single point.
Because I'm making points.
No, because you're afraid.
Of what?
Of the truth.
I just explained to you.
When you earn a living off of lies, you are afraid of the truth.
Give me a lie that I've told.
The idea that Republican policies benefited black people, and that is not true.
I just gave you Republican policies.
No, let me give you an example.
Give me examples that they've hurt black people.
I'll give you an example. During the Hoover administration, 43% of the black people who were employed in domestic work. And the reason for that is because they were shut out of truly gainful employment. And the segment who was hurt the most were black men. Black women could get jobs as maids and things of that sort. But black men, any job that gave them the opportunity for social dignity, value, and worth, they were systematically denied. And a lot of it had to do with
You act like it's a good thing for black people to be selling drugs in our community. It is not.
What is the leading cause of the separation of black families?
I think it's a degradation of values in the black community.
Would you say that the criminalization, black men disproportionately going to jail more, has an effect on the separation of the black households?
I would agree to that, but I would also say that is because of the choices and decisions that these young black men are making.
Perfect, thank you. I was hoping you would say that. So,
is that not true? You don't go to jail. You go to jail for selling drugs.
Okay, you go to jail for selling drugs. Can I read you a quote from Nixon's domestic policy chief, John Ehrlichman? This is at the start of the war on drugs, which we know is what led to a lot of mass incarceration of the black community, a significant increase in black men imprisoned and incarcerated for drug possession and selling, right?
Okay, hold on.
So
I'm going to let you quote it.
Okay.
But we do recognize that there was decisions that were made by black people to sell drugs.
Absolutely. Now, can I read you the quote? This is John Ehrlichman, Nixon's domestic policy chief, right? He's responsible for primarily leading the war on drugs. We knew we couldn't make it illegal to be either against the Vietnam War or black, but by getting the public to associate the hippies with marijuana and blacks with heroin, and then criminalizing both heavily, we could disrupt those communities.
I'm not familiar with that quote.
Oh, really?
But
shocking.
I can go and read it later, but that's still
You
not.
should really read it later.
That's not getting to the point of saying that people are incarcerated because decisions that they make to commit crimes. Is that not true?
Well, yes, that's
the reason that none of us. The reason that none of us. The reason that none of us are selling dope. Why? Because we don't want to go to prison. We value our lives. If you are going to sell drugs and you're going to kill people and you're going to commit robbery, you're going to go to jail.
Yes,
you can't blame all of that on the war on crime or whatever the case may be.
But the war on crime was specifically to get black men to go to jail.
It is nothing wrong.
They literally admitted it.
It is nothing wrong with imposing laws that help our community. You act
How
like,
does that help our community?
Let me explain. You act like it's a good thing for black people to be selling drugs in our community. It is not. So when you go to jail for selling drugs, in my opinion, and I think the opinion of anybody that's rational, that is a benefit to the black community by getting drug dealers, criminals off the street, and our communities to be able to thrive, our property value to be able to go up. These people need to go to jail.
Dude,
that's not a negative.
Okay, I hear you, thank you. But literally, the domestic policy chief is saying we could disrupt those communities. He is openly admitting. No, I let you talk a lot. I need you to let me speak.
I need you to clarify this. Disrupt these communities in what way? What is he saying disrupt the communities?
By heavily criminalizing.
To what end?
To hurt black people.
Hey, what's up, everybody? I got to get back into a consistent flow. It's just been a very busy couple of months. But so I'm going to cover this because this nigga Brandon Tatum gotta be the biggest coon I've ever seen. And I watched the Boondocks, dog. Uncle Ruckus out here. This man has been very active, especially recently. He has been very, very active, and he has been very outspoken on a couple things. Now, I want to just state by saying I don't 100% disagree with Brandon Tatum on some of his statements about the black community. That is just what it is. That's where I stand on it. Now, I do think a lot of his historical statements about the black community need to go the fuck out the window. All that, oh, America wasn't really racist to black people and this, that, and the third. And oh my God, nigga, you are a clown. Straight up clown to me. But I will say that his issues on the Nolan Wells case, just getting into it just like this, he really been saying that we shouldn't assume his death was racially motivated without any evidence. Come on, dog. Like, none of this shit is making sense. In fact, a lot of the details on the Nolan Wells case has been coming out a little bit more. Hell, it's to the point where Nancy Grace was looking at him like, come on, are you serious? And that's in this video. And then you got Miss Rachel. She was like, now we know full damn well if there was a bunch of black kids and one white kid going missing, it would have been treated way differently. And we know this. We know this. And Miss Rachel been getting some pushback. She didn't really get canceled. I know they were saying they canceled her, but she ain't been canceled. You can't really cancel Miss Rachel because she on YouTube. Y'all don't pay her. She's not on no public news network. So they really can't book her neither. They can complain, but you can't really book her. Now, he argued that information available at that point did not establish race as a factor. He's been particularly critical of people presenting the case as another example of racial violence before the investigation establishes what happened. Here's the thing. This nigga, his parents straight up was like he would not have stayed on that island by himself. But even his parents decided to say it wasn't a racially motivated thing. Y'all know y'all live in Mississippi, right? Like, y'all know where y'all live? Y'all are probably the most racist state in the country. Mississippi is bad. This just is what I could never live down there. I had a girl who went to like a college I was working at, and she was from Mississippi, and I was surprised how kind she was. She was so sweet, and I was like, 'cause it's bad down there. It's goofy in Mississippi. She was this nice little girl, standing third. I think college kind of changed her because she was there for a couple years. I saw her when she was graduating, and I was like, "You are mad different from when you started here," but that's neither here nor there. That position really put him in like conflict with people. But at the end of the day, dog, it is. He was a black kid. He was doing good in college. Like, he was going to get probably a good old college scholarship. He was tall like the white boys, fit like the white boys, smart like the white boys, had a mommy and a daddy in the household with him. He wasn't a single mom boy. You know what I mean? And, that's scary to white people. And, the development was he interviewed the friends who were with Wells. Of course, he interviewed those white kids. And this is when Nancy Grace got on him when it was like, oh, they showed me the video. There's that and the third. But what did they show you, though? You see what I'm saying? And it just is what it is. The way he defending these boys is diabolical. I'm not saying that that there's something wrong with the story. There's something wrong with the story, and he just is what he is. And I just don't really get down with why y'all wouldn't think that this was racially motivated in a state like Mississippi, who has been still probably the most racist state in America, even since the civil rights has been up. And Brandon Tatum was just like, no, man, it ain't like that. Nigga, do you know these boys personally? Are you a personal friend of these boys? You know what I'm saying? But I don't know. Just the disingenuousness towards it. It is black people. We know what the history is in this country. We know what it is. Was it something like, I think a development came out, something about his neck or something like that? I gotta get into I'm gonna look up the more details on the Nolan Wells case because it really needs to be dissected because this is just not looking good for any of it, to be honest with you. And I'm just gonna keep going at this point. Just like now what am I going on to his systemic racism debates that have been going on for probably a couple of years at this point. it is really like he been just. I remember like when I first kind of came across his stuff, he was in like college campuses talking to teens, and some of the stuff he was saying, I genuinely agreed with. And there was some other stuff where I was like, nigga, what are you talking about? But on this Jubilee debate, oh, this nigga was on some shit. I'm talking like give him the hat and the cane and have him tap dance for massa, because my man was just doing his job. And he appeared in that debate. He argued that if he personally experienced individual racism, but rejects the idea that systemic racism is currently the primary reasons Black Americans can't succeed. Now, me personally, it's not that we can't succeed under it, it's the fact that it's the reason why we could not succeed. And it was purposely done that way on purpose. And to throw that under the bus and say no is crazy. And critics have strongly challenged him on housing discrimination, lending, generational wealth, policing, employment discrimination, and historical government policy. And all these things are there. Biden's law back in the 90s, you see what I'm saying? It's a Democratic thing, but we already know the Democrats goofy too. Anybody on this channel should be aware that I don't like Democrats. So if you expect me to support them, you're not going to get it from me. What else? Man, eminent domain, convict leasing, the Tuskegee experiment, man, redlining, blockbusting, denial of the GI Bill, all these things that took place, and it's even more than that. The bombing of Osage Avenue back in the 80s, uh, bruh, it's so much stuff we could talk about, man. So much stuff, but and that's why this could become like a popular discussion dealing with him. But I argue that he just takes a lot of talking points from, say, the Charlie Kirks of the world, because I know he 100% believes that Black people were better under Jim Crow. Now, I do understand where they're coming from, because it's like, yes, we were more married, more kids had dads, this, that, and the third. When your backs are against the wall, people tend to kind of stick together. That I know for a fact is the case. Now, another thing I would like to say is, yes, Black people may have been more together during Jim Crow, but we were at our worst when it came to just walking down the damn street. You had sundown towns, sundown counties, you had lynchings, you had the Klan, you had everything going on, like I said, that I just mentioned before. We were on death's door pretty much every single day in America under Jim Crow. We had no choice but to stick together. Was burning down black neighborhoods, Lake Lanier, Black Wall Street, Tulsa. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, y'all, Seneca Village. Y'all got a lot, man. And to sit here and say that Black people didn't try is crazy. Now, I do agree when he said like a lot of personal decisions the Black community has made in the last 40 years. That I can't argue, because I do think a lot of decisions we made in the last 40 years has been real, real dumb. So that's just how I look at it. Now, I know a lot of people are saying I don't really care about that Candace Owens thing, because she has a very different opinion on the Charlie Kirk assassination. And I think he's pretty much like you want some other shit with that. Now, his little connection on race become more important. It's Black Americans have more opportunities today than previous generations. That I agree with. Individual racism still exists, 100%. Racism shouldn't automatically be used to explain disparities. Disagree. Black Americans should emphasize personal responsibility. I agree, but that wouldn't ultimately change how Black people are treated. I've very much campaigned for Black people to start making better choices on this channel multiple times. That comes down to the babies, that comes down to the money, that comes down to the music, that comes down to everything. I have openly stated that I think Black people need to make better decisions. But to say personal responsibility will change everything as far as how Black people are treated, no, it wouldn't. Conservative principles can provide a path toward economic advancement. Not always guaranteed. There's a lot of conservative people with conservative principles who are in poverty. And weirdly enough, historically, Democrats have had better economies than Republicans. So, I mean, so the whole thing about Brandon Tatum with this whole thing, I really think, him having a white wife, I don't really care about that. I know some people make that a talking point, like, oh, look, he's got a white woman, they pay him, his life is good. I'm like, damn, that's all it takes to make the team, I guess. But I get it though. I get it. I get it 100%. And I just don't understand like where the coonery comes in, nigga. How old is Brandon Tatum? He gotta be like in his late 30s, early 40s. He got to be. He can't be no younger than that. But it's still just like, so that means he grew up in the 80s and 90s. And yes, his dad, he's 39. Okay, he just turned 39. Okay, so his dad was in his life, and that's a good thing. I wish every black boy could have their dad in their life. Unfortunately, a lot of the bullshit with who black women have kids with come into play here. It also comes into the fact that a lot of black men die early. Sad but true. It also comes into the fact that black families love to just not be together. And it's 2026. That's just my personal opinion. And so it's just like he doesn't understand the raw reality of what black people have gone through in America. He just doesn't get it. And I feel like most people say they know, but they don't really get it to see how the black community has gotten the way it is today. There is a lot of racism involved with why the black community is the way we are, but it's a lot of us too. It's not one size fits all, but it is a cataclysm of what the government has done to the black community on purpose as to why we're here today. He doesn't want to hear that, dude. You don't want to hear that, and that's just what he is. I think he just takes a lot of things, and I will get into like some side points in a minute. I just want to get all like the real key points out because it's a lot. It's a lot. Let's see. Systemic racism debate. Racism exists, but systemic racism isn't preventing black success. Black people are actually thriving more than we've ever been. The black dollar is at 2 trillion. The black spending dollar is officially at $2 trillion or some shit like that. If we take away 10% with this boycotting and all this other stuff, believe it or not, it'd be about $100 billion siphoned back into the black community. I wish we would do that as sooner than later, but it is what it is. Don't assume racism without evidence, man. America has made race a thing for every damn year since its inception. Why would race not all of a sudden magically take place after 2005? Like, come on now. Examine the circumstances before concluding racism motivated police behavior. Police behavior was most of the time racially motivated as well. Let's be honest here. I've seen black dudes get pulled over by the cops just for walking down the street. I was one of them. I've dealt with it. It is not a comfortable situation. That shit is 100% racially motivated because what are you stopping me for, my nigga? So, you know what I'm saying? And I've seen black men get beaten down just for talking. You know what I'm saying? And his argument has been that guy who's aggressive to black people are aggressive to everybody. And I'm like, well, that sounds like a personal problem. That's not the point. That does not justify them doing it. But he has a larger political philosophy, it seems like. And like I said, I agree with a good amount of stuff he says when it comes to black people making better choices and this, that, and the third. But he fails to understand the lack of access to resources that are personally put on black people. Now, I think black people should start trying to make our own damn resources. It sounds disingenuous and magical as hell, but I'd rather us try to make our own resources than just say we can't get them. Because America was never designed for us in the first place. We're just a very inconvenient population because they can't just wake up and say deport the African Americans. They can't say deport the FBAs because we've been here longer than damn near everyone except for the Native Americans. We've been here. We was here. Pretty sure there were slaves in the room during the signing of the Declaration of Independence. So Do what you want with that information. Uh, yeah, he is pro-Trump like a motherfucker, which is he remains firmly within the conservative Trump political world, but he has criticized Trump. That I'll give him. He has criticized Trump to some degree, and on a notable example has been the Epstein controversy. He criticized the way Trump responded to supporters demanding greater transparency about the Epstein-related information. I guess he couldn't really defend that. And I'm pretty sure he would have liked to have been able to. He might have took a hit on his paycheck, but you can't really defend that Epstein shit. And that needs to get really, really shown really, really soon. And supporting Trump doesn't mean Trump shouldn't be questioned. And I'm glad he did that, because that's like the one thing you could have done. You're still a coon. You still kiss the Republicans' ass. I've seen you in pictures with Charlie Kirk, and you're running around happy as hell with Charlie Kirk. Meanwhile, he looks at you like this is the best black person that I could use. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? It's just, yeah, he is a former cop. I know that whole Candace, like I said, I don't really going to get into that whole Candace Owens thing. He has been, like, Nancy Grace got him up out of here. The people on Jubilee, they was kind of getting him out of here, but he was fighting back. He wasn't wrong on some of his stances. Like I said, I just don't like the way he tries to make it seem like nothing happened to black people to the point where we've gotten this bad. I think if a lot of the racism towards black people stopped in, say, the 1930s, who knows where we'd be now in 2026. But nope, they had to keep it going. 100 years of Jim Crow, 200 years of slavery, and then we haven't even been 100 years out of Jim Crow. That's how still early on that is. Like, a lot of people are saying, like, oh, this was so long ago. This was such long ago. This was so long ago. And I'm sitting here telling y'all now that my mom is 59 years old. My mom was born in 1967. That is 3 years after the signing of the Civil Rights Act. My mom isn't even 60 yet. And she's not that far off from that Jim Crow era. She's the first generation of kids born after that Jim Crow era. So if someone is 59 and they were right after Jim Crow, yeah, America has barely moved the needle. I had to tell somebody recently. I said, we had all those conversations. It was like, oh, why can't we just sit down and talk about it? I said, I could find videos of Muhammad Ali, Malcolm X, Martin Luther King, Bill Cosby, and a bunch of other black men having these conversations on television back in the 60s and 70s. And the needle has barely moved since then. It's been 50 plus years, and the needle hasn't moved. So you tell me why we can't have these conversations, and I put a fucking 1,000 reasons in front of you as to why. But people like Brandon Tatum irritate me, because it's just like, oh yeah, black people got to start doing this, and the black community this. I never had these problems. My wife is white, this, that, and the third. And I remember the one girl tried to tell that to him, like, oh, my wife never experienced these racial issues in the medical unit. Yeah, because your wife is white. And I said, exactly. Your wife is white. Your wife ain't no sister, bro. Your wife is Becky. Like, come on, man. Like, this is what I'm talking about, disingenuousness. Like, your behavior does not protect you all the time. A lot of times people just look at you, they see your skin, they don't like you. You could be the smartest kid in the class. Your teacher could still not like you because some black dude touched on his girl back in high school and he never quite let that go. Or you could be the hardest working dude in your law firm, and your head person could look at you sideways because some black dude is the reason why he wasn't captain of the basketball team back in college. He never let that go. It just be like that. So you sitting here saying all these things, it sounds beautiful. It's all magical. It's all fuzzy. But at the end of the day, the reality is still the reality. Microaggressions and undertones are 100% a thing. Somebody comes to me and says, wow, you're really articulate. Nigga, what? Like, don't play with me, nigga. Don't. But Brandon Tatum is just, at the end of the day, you done been up, down, side to side on a lot of stuff. I kind of question who you are as a human being. For you to just sit here and oust, I don't even want to say oust, but like you just do your own people so dirty to look good for the white people. This, a lot of them will see you as soon as your white wife says you did something wrong. Watch how fast these white people turn on you. Watch how fast, bro. And that doesn't mean saying like I don't want black men dating outside their race. I actually encourage it just based off situations and shit. But you are not supposed to go full. You are not supposed to go full white when you date outside your race. You are supposed to still be a brother who understands, and you get you a woman that understands. That's a lot of white girls out here that don't play that racism shit. They really don't want to be involved with it. They really don't care about how white boys feel about them dating black men. There's a different era of white girls. These white girls are more allies than some women of color sometimes. You know what I'm saying? Like sisters are allies 'cause they sisters, but you get a lot of these other races of girls that still be trying to do black women some type of way, and you got one of them. I think any white woman that you're with that is somebody you need to be a little bit concerned about being with. That's just me. That is just me. So I think I'm gonna leave it at here. I think I've covered pretty much most of what he's been on recently. If you guys like this video, like, comment, subscribe for more. Like I said, I really miss uploading. It's just every time I get ready to start recording, something happens. But I'm really trying to get back into the motive of this. But yeah, his coonery, the coonery needs to just get dealt with, and in some way, shape, or form. Like the bull just ain't right. He just ain't right. But I think one day he'll have his nigga wake up call. Well, so Candace Owens got hers, so he can get his too. With that being said, I'm gonna let y'all go. Like, comment, subscribe for more. I'll see y'all on the next one.